Hello, my name is Michael. I was asked to talk about Americans' views and opinions of North Korea. Can't say I speak for all Americans, but I can certainly share some of my own thoughts. As far as North Korean people, North Koreans as a population, I don't think many Americans have a direct opinion of them just because there's not a lot of interaction. They're obviously not allowed to travel as freely as some of the other Asian nations. As Americans, we have more contact with Chinese, Japanese, South Koreans, Thai, some other Asian cultures. So we can assume, as far as the physical appearance, the food they eat, the clothes they wear, perhaps their religion, both written and spoken language, are going to be very similar. I think for many of us, we feel that their political views or perhaps political experiences are the big factor that separates them. They are located halfway around the world. I'm in the eastern United States, so they really are halfway around the world. Many Americans are familiar, or first became familiar with Korea through the Korean War in the 50s. There are some Korean vets who are still alive. And otherwise, those who weren't born yet have learned about it in their history and political classes. The Korean War, as I understand it, is essentially a war to unify Korea, not really to split Korea. But unfortunately, the supporters of the USSR and the United Nations, primarily the United States, thought to unify them in different ways. The USSR wanted a totally communist Korea, while the UN and United States wanted a democratic Korea. Neither side was willing to relinquish a little bit, so Korea remained split. North Korea still considered communist, and South Korea a democratic society. I think when most people think of North Korea, they think immediately of Kim Jong-il, of nuclear testing, of missile testing, and communism, but really they view North Korea through the most popular figure from Korea, which would be Kim Jong-il. And I'm sure that's how other countries view the United States, whether it be through our leaders such as Barack Obama or George Bush. And I wouldn't be surprised if some view Americans as popular actors and actresses or singers, but really the key figures from the country in the media is who we judge a whole country by. You take whatever you can get from that culture, and you kind of just magnify it over the whole culture. And for us, that is Kim Jong-il with North Korea. So as I said, during the Korean War, North Korea was supported by USSR. USSR put Kim Jong-il's father in charge of North Korea, as he was the first ruler. He was supported not just by the USSR but also China, two large communist countries. And the ruler at the time was Mao Zedong. Mao Zedong and Stalin are considered two of the worst dictators or leaders in the 20th century, right up there with Adolf Hitler. So that's pretty much a red flag when you have two people like that supporting the forming of a new country. Obviously, they were looking for an ally. So Kim Jong-il, was born in Siberia, was born in USSR. When he followed his father and became leader of North Korea, he kind of carried on that legacy of continuing spreading communism and continuing spreading this thought, or these thoughts, this ideology. I actually don't believe they call it communism anymore. I think North Korea now has adopted a form of socialism, very, very communist-like socialism, where the government authority is still primary and the rights of the citizens are still secondary. But local news, not local news, but more recent, Kim Jong-il, nuclear testing. Really, nuclear weapons are no joke. You can almost say it's a sad thing they were invented, because now it seems everybody wants them, and some of the groups, some of the scariest leaders, or the groups most known for violence, are the ones fighting the hardest. People who are dangerous with missiles that everyone has, now all of a sudden wants a super weapon like a nuclear weapon. So it's really scary, but he is open that he's testing it. He's stepped back from talks with the United Nations and talks with other groups about his nuclear weapons, but I guess a recent visit by China to North Korea to strengthen ties to communist nations, supporters since the beginning, but China has, it seems, convinced them to come back to talks a little bit. So that's kind of good. But that strikes fear, I think, into a lot of Americans, and not just Americans, people around the world. But you look at Kim Jong Il's, like I said, missile testing and what he's done to his own country, the oppression he's brought to his own country, and you can just imagine what he can do with a weapon like that. When I talk about oppression in his own country, nearly 40% of North Koreans are starving, underfed, and it's so bad that international aid is not able to fully support all of them. I believe phones were illegal in North Korea until recently, until cell phones became more popular, but near the borders is still illegal. Computers are illegal for most North Koreans, and so what this tells me is that really Kim Jong-il is trying to control communication and control the spread of other ideology, whether he feels it'll weaken the government's hold. I mean, you think back to China and the march on Tiananmen Square. I mean, I think if he fears if North Koreans get enough thoughts of freedom and rights and another way of living in their head, that they'll revolt. So this is his idea of controlling it. But general ideology, like I said, Americans view North Korea through what we see of Kim Jong-il, and that's dangerous. That's scary. USSR has given up communism. China, while they're still technically communist, is a lot of freedoms. And North Korea is considered one of the most dangerous and oppressive countries still out there. So that is how we see them. Thank you very much. I hope this helps.